Welcome to Contagious Podcast, the very first episode. And I am so thankful that you are watching, that you've tuned in to just hang out, check out what I've dreamed up and what I'm really excited about. This podcast has been on my heart, on my mind for probably the last 9 months, and it's finally coming to a reality. And I'm hopeful that it fills a hole within the automotive industry for conversations that really drive us forward. So why Contagious? Why Contagious Podcast? Well, I was thinking through this and I thought, and what does it look like to laugh? And I love laughter. Laughter is one of my favorite things. I always say in the sales environment and automotive, like if we can't laugh, then what are we doing? And there's this contagious laughter that we say, and it spreads. And you don't really know why it's happening or what's happening to you when it is spreading. But immediately someone starts laughing and all of a sudden you're laughing too, and the person next to you and all of a sudden everybody's laughing in the room. And that's my idea for Contagious Podcast. I want everyone talking in the room. And so that's what it's going to look like. It's going to be a lot of different people talking and not me. I have a lot of opinions and a lot of things to share, and you might hear them along the way. But it's not going to be primarily me. It's going to be people on the ground in dealerships. It's going to be vendor partners. It's going to be maybe people that consider themselves thought leaders. Maybe it's you. Maybe you want to, maybe you've got something to say, an idea, a way forward, something in the automotive industry that you're seeing that you're excited about. That's what I want to hear. So Contagious Podcast, contagious conversations for automotive innovation. And that's what I'm after. I'm after conversations that create innovation in our industry. I've been in the automotive industry for just over 11 years now. I got in, if anyone remembers, the last month of Cash for Clunkers in mid 2009. And I'll never forget, I was stuck up in a room watching Jim Ziegler videos. And Jim, if you ever watch this or see this, absolutely love you. Thank you for that guidance. And I've listened and watched him since then many times, but that started my automotive career. And I was in the sales department at a small Kia dealership in Pensacola, Florida. And over that 11 years, I've held finance positions, sales manager positions, floor manager positions, business development positions, marketing, training, worked with service, parts, the variable ops, fixed ops, even accounting some. And so I've got a lot of environmental experience that I just want to be able to talk about with people because I think that there is a massive opportunity in our industry, and an opportunity to pivot and continue to pivot. And I think I've seen this over the past, especially 3 years, and then pressed into through the times of COVID, of this pivot to a consumer-centric industry that's desirable. I have a son, and he's a young son. I won't give away his age, but my desire is for him when he graduates college, or when he graduates high school, or for my daughter, the same thing, or for your sons and daughters, or maybe sooner than that, to when they graduate high school or college, for them to be looking around, looking at the people that are helping to place them in jobs, tuning their resume to say, how do I get in the automotive industry? Does anyone know of any openings? Are there openings in the software space? Is there development? Are there dealership openings? Can I get into the sales environment? Is there a ladder for me to own dealerships, to be in this space? And right now, we're convincing people to get in the industry. I want people trying to knock down our doors, beat down our doors. And I think that's what it takes to get there, is innovation, is us having conversations, hard conversations about changing the industry, about driving forward to what so many people are doing right now, currently, the conversations that we're having, so that in 5, 10, 15 years, this industry doesn't have to be taken over by some outside influence, but that this industry is sought after and desired. Then what happens is man, when that happens, when inside the industry, when people are desiring to work for and in and drive forward in the industry, people that are outside of the industry are going to want to do business with us. They're going to look forward to buying their next car. They're going to be excited about interacting with the automotive industry. They're going to want to jump on the websites and search for cars and go test drive and interact with sales environments, and the trade cycle is going to be managed well, and all of that's just going to come into play. As an industry, we have to take care of our people well so that they take care of our customers well. And so that's what I'm after. And these conversations are going to start that. That's my vision for automotive, that it can be the place to work, that it can be the place where everyone wants to be. And if that's the reality, man, I'm excited for what I get to do in this industry. I'm excited for what you as an industry partner get to do, and what we get to create together. So it's going to be software vendors. It's going to be, like I said, dealers. It's going to be people working on the ground level, people putting in the work to make our industry better. And I can't wait to have those conversations. Again, this has been in my head for 9 months, but it wasn't until about a month ago that I really put an iron to the fire. And there's two particular people that led me to that. And I'm so excited. They both agreed to pop in for this first podcast, but also be on the very first and second full-length episodes of this podcast. The very first one, I can't wait for you to meet him, is a guy named Micah Burkholtz. So without further ado, let me bring him in and we will meet him and just hear his encouragement as he encouraged me to get this podcast going. All right, so I've got Micah Burkholtz here. Micah is the National Sales Director for Vista Dash. Vista Dash, he can probably tell you a lot more about it than I can, but just an independent, agnostic, vendor-neutral place for dealers to see all of their data from a marketing perspective. So Mike and I met a year and a half ago when he was doing the grind. And man, we've since then just some super awesome conversations. So Micah, say hi.
Yo, hey. Good to see you guys.
Yeah. So the reason Micah is on today with me, the very first podcast, Contagious Podcast, is because sometime about a month ago, I was dreaming with Micah, telling him all about my woes and my ideas for the world and specifically automotive. And I was like, man, I've been thinking about doing this podcast. And Micah says, well, just do it. And I, in that moment, kind of committed myself. Right. So yeah, I mean, that's just super encouraging to me, man. So what, tell me what led you to say to a guy like me that maybe hasn't started a podcast that you've only known for a year and a half, like you need to do that podcast thing?
Well, I think it's the idea of what is your internal messaging saying to you? What is it saying to you? If you're asking the question, should I do something? The answer is generally 100% yes, all the time. Should I do this? Because I feel drawn to it. I've got the energy towards it. I've got something to say that, heck, maybe you are the only person that finds value in it, but you need to say it for yourself. You need to get that out. Then if you have something that you're internally saying, do I need to do something? The answer is yes. Do it. Go for it and go all in. Because I'll tell you, I've now got grown kids. Like my youngest just turned 16. Right. Sorry. He just turned 17. My youngest. I got stepkids that are a little bit younger, but like my youngest is 17. And if I went back, I could probably list to you probably a few dozen things that I could say I wish I would have done for them or with them. And I don't want that. I don't want to say that anymore. So when somebody says, should I do something? The answer is yes. Do it. Should I go on that trip? Do it. Yeah. Should I do a podcast? Yes. Should I tell my boss these things? Yes, but be careful how you say it, right? So there's always, if you have these internal messages, I always say, go for it. Just do it.
Absolutely.
I know that's not the Reebok.
Yeah, that's you're not on brand today, man.
Not on brand, man.
No, yeah, I appreciate that. And I think that's kind of why, to be fair, I'm not it's not the guy that is at the largest auto group, dropping all the numbers. I think we've got some really cool stuff going on in my region, in my personal, like what I affect. And so that's going to be a part of the conversation. But man, I just want to, like, my desire is for more people talking, right? I think especially in the automotive industry, we've got a few people talking, and I want more people talking. And so, the tagline, contagious conversations. It's like, let's have more conversations and less talking at and more talking with. And that's what I love about like jumping on the phone with you. I always know I'm going to be talking with you, and I'm not going to be talking at you or being talked at. And so that's really cool.
Yeah. I think we found that, you've seen it, I've seen it through the LinkedIn messaging, through different social networks. There's a lot of pontificating and not a lot of practicality that goes along with that pontificating. You need to do this. Okay, great. All right. If I need to do this, how do I do it?
Yeah.
Could you show me? Could we talk through what are the benefits? What's the threats if I don't do it? And it's not a conversation as much as you need to do this because the world will end. I mean, there's always some dire effect, and they never actually go through the intricacies of it. So I like having practical conversations where you and I can hop on the phone call and say, hey, what's on your radar? What's important to you? Why? And just having that conversation is so much more valuable than just a video that's getting dropped that just begs the question, why am I watching this if not just to buy into their brand?
Yeah. So, man, thanks for the segue, right? So what we're going to do is instead of just dropping a podcast every Wednesday, we're going to drop a podcast every Wednesday. And then it's like it just dropped in my lap the week before I was thinking of doing a podcast. We got this great new app called Clubhouse. So tomorrow we're going to be on Clubhouse and hopefully having a discussion around whatever the podcast is, or if it's something else that's on your mind, like I want to hear it. I hope to speak into it and also be spoken into. Because man, innovation, driving toward something fresh is exactly where we need to be in the automotive industry. So yeah, super pumped about that. I hope you'll join us. Micah, tell them where they can find you.
Oh boy. You can find me on, phone number 612-406-0877. You can call me, shoot me a text. You can catch me on Instagram at Micah_Burkholtz. You can find me at Micah Burkholtz on Facebook, on LinkedIn. That's MICAHBIRKHOLZ. It's a mouthful. It's not my fault. Blame my family. I was on Twitter a lot, not so much anymore. I used to dive into it. Now it's not as relevant to me personally, but have at it. I'm on there. You can try to direct tweet me. I may or may not answer. But yeah, those are a few ways that you can reach me.
Awesome. Cool. And Micah will also be our first full guest next week on the podcast. And we're going to be talking about some of his passions. You can see the shirt there. And so I think we might get into some of that because we share some similar passions and how those integrate with automotive and driving toward innovation and how all of life becomes automotive innovation. So I'm excited about that. Man, thanks for joining me today and dropping the first Contagious pod.
Awesome. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of it, man.
Yeah. Oh man, I absolutely love every time I get to have a conversation with Micah. I could go on for hours with him, but we couldn't do that this time. Maybe it'll be next time. And maybe we'll when we jump on Clubhouse, it'll just be an all afternoon bonanza with you guys and with Micah. I'm sure that conversation is going to be riveting. The next guy, Ben Hadley. I met him a year and a half ago at a digital dealer. And for a dude that maybe we've been in the room for just a couple minutes together, the conversations that I get to have on the phone with him are always pushing the boundaries in the automotive industry. And he's pushed my boundaries. And so without further ado, let's bring in Ben. All right, y'all. Just like I just said, this is Ben Hadley. He's not sitting next to me. He does have a filter on his background, unlike me. I threw it at you. Get over it, okay? He put the filter on.
Good. It's a damn good filter, then.
Yeah. So, but it's pretty solid. So it looks like it's his house. But no, Ben is the head of emerging product with Dealer Inspire and also advisor to some pretty awesome brands out there, Revolution Parts. He's got a consulting gig that I'm sure at some point he'll tell you all about. But man, Ben was super instrumental in bringing this whole conversation, this whole podcast to the airwaves, to the video waves. So Ben, thanks. First of all, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
There he is.
Absolutely.
There you go, man. He told me he wasn't going to censor, but he censored himself. He may not after this. So if you hear bleep, all right. No, Ben is a super, super good friend. Our conversations normally end like this. Holy crap, man. We've been on for an hour and a half. We gotta talk about something else, right?
Well,
and
how about,
I love about Ben? It's like we just go to town on just dreaming.
How about last evening? And you dropped a bomb of a great idea, and it's like, are you kidding me? Low-hanging fruit for the world.
And then he had to pick up his daughter, and we were done, right? So we were dreaming like massive automation apps and getting venture capitalists in the room and all that type of stuff. And then it's like, and I got to go pick up my daughter.
Yeah, and real life.
Yeah, real life. Boom. So, so this podcast, so the idea is, Ben, and just like getting your head around it. And then Ben's going to be on with me like full length, and you're not going to want to miss that, because I guarantee he will drop some bombs that I'm not even ready for. He's probably going to think of something between now and then that's earth shattering that I don't even know about yet. But, talk to me about the conversations that you're having, the innovation that you wish to see. Like, how does that play into your desire for conversations within the automotive industry, with myself, with other people, the people that are listening to this? How does conversation play into innovation and change and growth in the automotive industry for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we're in this transitional period right now where we are leaving the optimization of shopping and starting with the optimization of buying and selling. And what that really means is like most of the engineers we have, first of all, haven't even worked in automotive. Like at any software company, they're so unempathetic, right? That the easy thing to do was to empathize with the customer, right? Because everybody's been a customer. So we all have a point of view that's a valid point of view on the customer. But that's optimizing for shopping, right? That's shopping behavior. Customer goes on and I make the prettiest, easiest, fluid experience for them without dealership involvement. And that's okay. But as we transition into optimizing for selling and buying, okay, now we have to have extreme empathy for the end user. The end user is no longer the consumer. The end user is the salesperson. It's the F&I manager. It's the F&I team. And so, a lot of great innovative ideas are coming out of some talking heads in the industry, for sure. But even those guys, I think, are starting to get disconnected from the person that actually sells the car.
Yeah. That's huge.
And that's the big thing for me, is that guy needs to be better represented everywhere.
Is he willing to use it, able to use it? Not just willing and able, but is he like desiring? Is there an attitude of desire within like the ground level to do this? Because like if you're at the massive dealership or the massive software company, or you are, you're one of the talking heads of our industry, like it's obviously there. We've been to Digital Dealer, we've been to NADA, we've been to the conference, and everybody's talking on that level, this forward thinking. Everybody knows Tesla's out there, Apple's out there.
Yeah. Everybody
knows that. But like, how do we translate that? How do we have the conversation? How do we draw the lines? And I think what you're saying is that software and the way that we develop the things that they're going to use plays a massive part in that conversation, and how we have that,
dude, it's huge. Like, it sounds maybe idealistic of me, but I always tell people this, like literally in 2008, when I was getting really like my first real career at dealer.com, and I got lucky, right? You know, in a market downturn to be able to find a pretty secure job, blah, 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 blah. A lot of my buddies that had graduated colleges all across the country ended up working at like Starbucks, Best Buy, whatever, right? And they could have worked at my uncle's dealership. They could have, and they probably would have made way more money. And they could have actually had an insanely successful career by now and whatever, and gotten great business experience along the way. They didn't. And so part of the things that we have to acknowledge when we think about developing technology, when we think about the technology stack that currently exists in the dealership, I mean, show anybody UCS power systems, like a terminal-based DMS, any terminal-based DMS, that graduated college in any of the 2000s, right?
Laugh at you.
And are you kidding? Like WTFs all day long, right? So, you know, part of what we also have to acknowledge is there's a certain group that, yes, we need to be empathetic for. Another part of this is how do we attract real unparalleled talent that has gone to all these other customer service-based industries?
Wait. Real quick. I'm going to look in the camera. Anybody who's watching or listening, I did not show the pre-setup to Ben before we recorded this. Like, he's literally talking about what I was talking about. Like, that's how this dude is on it. So yeah, go riff on that more. Because
I don't know, man. I don't know.
That person in the automotive industry. And until we have the conversation with people both in the industry that can tell the story and outside the industry that are going, whoa, I want to be a part of that. Then
I want to be a part of that is the key.
Yeah.
Like, we are not at the stage yet where technology has been adopted. It's some of it's been developed, but it hasn't been adopted to the point where we could go to a killer salesperson at Best Buy and say, dude, I got a better, like, you'd still be convincing them like, yeah, I know we still use F1, F2 and Y and N and like enter. It's like, you'd still have to do this weird welcome to our universe thing.
Yes.
As opposed to, yeah, I know you're used to walking around with an iPad, and I know that you're used to being able to scan and understand and follow these plans and have something like to walk you and guide you through. And that's a balance between the two. But like, you can't tell me that there isn't an insane amount of people in restaurants. Restaurants have digitized way faster than us. People in general retail has digitized way faster than us. People in even like airlines, stewardess. Do you know how many stewardesses or flight attendants, I should say, right, have been laid off recently that could absolutely crush this position, right? And they have a lot of technology at their fingertips now and they are actually using F1, F2 screens, so it wouldn't be as big of a transition. But right. But after that, there is way more technology that they get to use comparative to what we're using today. And so I just think that that's the massive opportunity. Yeah, we all have guys that have worked at a store for like 25 years and they refuse to learn something new. That's fine. Let them keep doing what they got to do. But, you know, the stat that I always think about is 30-something%. So like 1 in 3 of both the people you hire in 2021 and the people that sell for you in 2021 are millennials.
Yep.
The number one thing they hate about the car buying or selling process is negotiation. So 1 out of 3 times you're going to have a millennial talking to a millennial, and they both hate negotiation, and the job has been about negotiation up until 2021.
Crazy. Yeah.
1 out of 3 times, it's like both sides of the table, your representation and the customer are saying, oh God, I wish I wasn't doing this right now.
Yeah.
That's a totally new game. It's a completely new game.
Crazy. Man, I'm so excited. If you aren't like turned up, if you're listening to this and not turned up about 2 weeks from now and the conversation that Ben gets to have with me, because he's going to have it. He's on it. Then I don't know what you're doing, but man, Ben, again, thank you for pushing me over the edge on this, for helping me start the conversation and continuing the conversation. I hope that this is contagious for you, like that something sparks even in these few minutes to like launch on someone else. I'm sure
it always does. It always does.
But yeah, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to do the podcast thing. You ready? Ben, where can they find you?
Let's see, mainly on LinkedIn, or hit me on email, bmhadley@gmail.com.
There it is.
And unfortunately not on Clubhouse because
that poor guy.
I'm on Android, and I hear about it nonstop. But one day, maybe one day. Awesome. Yeah.
Well, Ben, thanks, man, and can't wait to get you on video again and speaking to the people. Yeah, appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for starting this.
Yeah. Oh man, Ben, if you're watching this, thank you so much for jumping in. Can't wait to continue the conversation here in a couple of weeks with you and dive into some of your desires and vision for the automotive industry as a whole. So yeah, super awesome, dude. Well, just to wrap up, thank you so much again for watching, for listening, wherever you're finding this. Really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you'll tune in next week. I hope you will be a part of the conversation. So whether it be on social media or whether it be on Clubhouse, that you would engage, because me talking or Micah or Ben talking, that doesn't matter if it doesn't include everybody. If everybody isn't in on this movement in the automotive industry that I think has already begun and that I want to help continue. So do me a favor, comment, like, subscribe wherever you're at, share this out, get more people on the conversation. If you are not on Clubhouse, get on Clubhouse. If you are on Clubhouse, follow me, hit that follow, and you'll see the meeting for tomorrow. That's Thursday that we'll have. If you're watching this in rewind, we're hopefully still going. And yeah, I can't wait to see you and have that conversation. And we will see you again next week on Contagious Podcast. Contagious Conversations for Automotive Innovation.